How great is that movie? I had a feeling you would like it. My name is Dave Karger. I am the chief correspondent at Fandango. It is my absolute pleasure to be here with you tonight and to introduce 5 members of the cast of Southpaw. Please join me in welcoming first Miguel Gomez. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. If you ask me, the MVP of this film, Una Lawrence. Rachel McAdams. And of course, Billy Hope himself, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Microphone.
Be careful there.
You guys just made me sit on my microphone.
I think we have a very excited and appreciative crowd here tonight, which makes me thrilled to see. Congratulations to all 5 of you on this film, and we should also say Naomi Harris and Antoine Fuqua and everyone, Kurt Sutter who wrote it, and everyone who's not here tonight who was part of this great ensemble and great crew. Jake, I want to know, when you first saw on a big screen, maybe you were looping or you saw the finished product, when you saw yourself, did you look like you thought you would look once you went through this entire process?
I felt so good about.
Or were you surprised at how you looked?
We were just somewhere, and I pretended like I was 50, so it's only appropriate that he pretends like he's me.
I love it.
You know, Antoine loves actors, and so he shared with me a lot of the things that they were shooting, and he shared with me a lot of the process, and he took me in while we were shooting the movie. So I had the opportunity to sort of see the character and how he saw the character, and then we honed in on the character over time. So when I saw the final version of the film, and I saw subsequent versions of the film before that, but when I saw the final version and really what Antoine was trying to say through Billy, and all the work that, you know, John, our editor, had done, and how Mauro lit him and all that. I mean, I consider a character the work of not just the actor, but of all the departments around the actor. When I saw that, I couldn't be, I was really proud of everything everyone did. I mean, I would hide in the shadows a lot of the time, and Mauro would always get upset with me, because I would always try and find the shadows. But somehow, you know, it's strange. You know, you spend so much time with everybody, and you're also intimate, and you're doing this thing, and then it becomes something else. So it's a little uncomfortable, but I like it.
We had a conversation today for my Fandango show, and you told me something interesting, which was very much about how working your shoulders was imperative to being convincing as a fighter. Can you tell the audience what you were talking to me about?
Well, like, popping your shoulders is this sort of a thing that I feel like fighters do all the time, because punches don't come from your arms, you know. They come from the other parts of your legs and from your core. So essentially, you know, the extension of your arm has to be, you know, so I can't do it in this suit. My suit's too tight.
It was better when you had your shirt on earlier today.
But Antoine, when I first met with Antoine, he said, you know, are you ready to do this? You know, I really want you to know how to fight, and I'm going to be shooting it like an HBO Showtime fight, and the fights are going to be real. So, you know, I want you to start popping your shoulders. You know, and he starts popping his shoulders at dinner, and I was like, okay, you know. That was when I knew I had my work cut out for me. And about 3 months into the process, something loosened up, and my shoulders started to pop, and I was like, oh my God. It was like this transformation was beginning. And yeah, that was where I started to feel like I could actually throw a punch.
Rachel, we're in a strange predicament right now because we're in a room full of people who have just seen the entire film, and yet this is being filmed for people who are going to watch it who have not seen the movie. So we have to be a little bit delicate here. But what happens to your character is very shocking. She stubs her toe, right? But I'm curious to know, for you, were you pitched what happens, what the storyline of your character was, or did you get the script and were paging through it and learned what happens to her?
Yeah, I just read it and was just as shocked in my living room. So yeah, it was. I wasn't told anything about it, which is the way I prefer it. You know, you want to just take the ride. Yeah, but it was a big challenge.
What excited you the most about the relationship between your two characters? Well, really, all three of you.
Yeah, was it his chest? His chest muscle, was his back
Get to
muscles?
you.
Like, what excited you the most?
The chest was exciting. I mean, I just loved the commitment they had to each other, and you know, like growing up together, and you know, it was a weirdly codependent relationship, but kind of in the best way, and yeah, I just love the fierceness of their love, and you know, they're incredibly passionate. I think they kind of get off on the boxing. You know, I think there's something still really primal and hot about that, and that's kind of weird. But at the same time, you know, I think Maureen's kind of grown up a little bit, and Billy's kind of a little kid still. At times, even though they really look out for each other. So I don't know, there's so many interesting dynamics to play out. There was really no end to the moments we could mine out. It was really rich.
Yeah. And as an audience member, you see the relationship and you see how damaged he is, and you think, as anyone would, just do this or this and you can fix him and you can make it better. But the movie shows you that it's just not anywhere near that easy. Isn't that right?
I would just say there's this beautiful moment where Miguel says what he says before that scene where she stubs her toe, and
A fatal toast.
and you see a history of a relationship in an instant, and it's all defined by her, and it's all defined by the work that she spent. You know, she has notebooks and notepads. She writes tons of notes. She literally, it's intimidating.
He was always like, "Let me see your notepad. What's in there?"
I just wanted to know what she thought of me. Like 4 pages, asshole. No, but the history of their relationship was in that moment. You know, she was like, "No, I've seen this too many times. No," and then what happens. But that is an amazing moment to see as an audience, to watch her do that, you know.
And I'll say that when that happened and Billy, you know, Jake turns around, you see the intensity in his eyes, and I could tell the amount of love that he had for Rachel and you know, for Maureen, for the character, and it was something that I was scared, man. I was scared for my life, you know.
Miguel, did you keep a distance, given the dynamic between your character and Jake's? Did you keep a distance from him on the set, or did you guys hang out and become friends?
I think it was important for us to really get to know each other and trust each other and sort of find that respect and love for each other, to be able to, in those scenes, to be able to go all out and not hold back, you know, and really feel the anger and the emotions. And we went to some really dark places, and I think only with the trust, you know, we were able to do that in the safe space that Antoine, you know, created for us. And before every take would say, you know, protect each other, you know, and that meant a lot to both of us. And we knew that sometimes, you know, accidents would happen, you know, when fatigue sets in and the anger sets in.
Yeah, they start punching each other.
And Jake hits pretty hard. Jake, you know, Jake can throw a punch. You can pop them shoulders.
Curtis, from your point of view, you actually do some work with boxing promotion with some of your businesses. What was important for you to get right about the boxing industry, and what could have easily gone wrong?
Well, it was important for me to be honest about how, at points, the temperament of the fighters turn the manager / promoters into, it puts them on the other side on a separate team. Even though they work together for things for the events to come together, the fighters get to a point where they want all the income from it. And, the promoters their tactics are like teenagers. So it's like a 14-year-old kid trying to trick you out the money, and you're looking like, you serious? And it'll make you not have, so much compassion for them after a while. You just let them fight. And sometimes it's difficult to get them to fight. So, when they do fight the tough one, you be like, that was a good fight for you. Now, maybe next time I tell your ass to fight, you'll get in there. They need it. At different points, they meet fighters. It's really important for me to be honest about the sport, and be a part of it. And this project definitely did that. Like, to see, I don't think people realize how much work it was for Jake in this project, because it was like, prepare yourself for it and then spend 8-hour days, a little longer sometimes, training through the day. And they go, okay, cut, camera rolling, action, and cut. Okay, let's go again. Let's go again. And each time he got to give it 100%. So it's like, and once you've trained yourself to land a punch, it's a hell of a adjustment to miss. Yeah. And so when he was talking about when they got fatigued and he started punching on them and shit, I was like, man, fuck this. This is a different kind of job.
Yeah, we would learn all the choreography, and as soon as you get punched in the face, that sort of goes out the window, right? You just gotta survive by that point.
Right. Una, I think I speak for everybody in this room when I say you absolutely blew me away in this movie. I'd like to know how, at 12 years old, you were probably 11 when you made this, how do you put yourself in the mindset of someone like Layla, who's been through all of this hardship, all of this trauma? How were you able to do that?
I mean, it was hard at some points, but I think just having Rachel and Jake's support throughout it, and them just being themselves and being the parents, I think I immediately fell into that role. And yeah, and just like really long sessions with Antoine and stuff, that helped a lot. And he gave me more information on Layla. And
More information.
Now, Una, listen. Jake has been starting to dabble a little bit in theater acting. He's been on Broadway. You have a Tony Award. We should tell people a special Tony from your work in Matilda. Do you want to give him any advice on this new theatrical career that he's been doing?
I think...
Wow, it takes an audience to really finally give me. I ask for advice every single day, and she was like, I'm busy working. And I just talked to her like, now finally she's in front of actors. Go, yeah, I'd love to know now.
Yeah. I think just try to remember your lines and stuff. That helps, yeah.
Jake, you're welcome. Seriously though, you told me today that you really followed Una's lead and you let her guide you in a lot of ways in your scenes together.
Well, she memorized both our lines, so sometimes I was like, yeah, a lot of people have asked me, particularly today, that I'm not a father, so how did we develop that relationship? And I think that there are a number of things involved in that, which is that I would, number one, like we said today, I would do anything for a child, no matter what. whether I know them or they're part of my family, it doesn't matter. So that love is sort of immediate. When she walked in the room, she just is who she is, and she's just pretty extraordinary. And then when you work with her, when I first read with her, we're sitting much like we were sitting now, and we started improv, and we were talking about the dolls in your room. I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember this? So we're talking about the dolls in your room, right? It was the scene where you're counting all the scene in your bedroom. We just started improv, and you were like, "There's this is Jane, and then this is John." I was like, "Oh, John, okay." And this is Jane. Oh, and don't mind John's long hair. And then and I was like, "Who is this girl?" I mean, there was a world that appeared that she had created, and was creating even in the moment. And I just thought, I just need to follow her. And then I realized, well, that's exactly what happens with a parent and a child. And so that's what I did through most of it. She set the tone, the scene at the grave after Maureen stubs her toe. It's like some Bob Marley thing, but but after that at the grave, Antoine said, "I'm setting up 2 cameras, and I want you guys to walk up, and then I want to see what happens." And there was a scene obviously that was written there that we moved into, but that was all Una talking. She started talking to her mother, and she started saying these things, and that was all her, So, and I just followed her lead. And I think that was what the scene was about. She wasn't supposed to follow mine. She asked to go as Layla to see her mother. And that's how it went. And that's very much the movie, It's all about her, and she's just a beautiful actress, and she deserves more Tonys.
There you go.
Thank you.
Una, we're in a room full of actors here. You have many family members who are actors. Your sisters are, your dad is, as I understand.
Yes.
Do you think that's played a big role in your interest and your ability in acting?
Definitely. My dad is like my inspiration, because he's done like theater, and he's done movies, and he just has like this experience, and he always helps me. He always like memorizes lines with me. He always, is always there to give me tips on how I should do this, how I should say that, and it's really, really helpful. And also having like my sisters there and stuff, sometimes they'll help me with my lines, which is really fun.
Rachel, can you talk about what kind of rehearsal time you had? This, as I understand it, was I think a 40-day shoot. Did you have much rehearsal time before that?
Yeah, we did, which is rare nowadays. So Antoine was really, adamant about carving that out, which I was so grateful for. And the 3 of us got lots of time to hang out, to in a relaxed way, to ease our way into it. We got a lot of time to talk about our backstory. We went to a facility together where we kind of imagined Billy and Maureen had maybe met, or the type of facility they would have grown up in. And then we got to not box each other, but I'd watch you and you'd watch me, and mostly I was watching you, but
Yeah, say that louder.
I just said I was watching her more than she was watching me. Probably, she's easy on the eyes, so you kind of want to watch her,
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, she watched me a lot. She watched me a lot.
In the ring, right.
Yeah, so we kind of had like this little mini movie before we started the movie, which felt very real, and we didn't have to do a lot of pretending by the time we got there.
When I saw the movie a couple weeks ago, the opening credits were going, and I saw music composed by James Horner, and And he had passed away the day before the screening that I saw, and it was very touching at that time. And I paid extra special attention to his music, and I thought it was really powerful. Can you guys talk about what you think his work adds to the film?
I'll say that sometimes I listen to scores, you know, as a motivation, emotionally, you know, moving into a scene. And one of the scores that I use often and have, and that moves me so much, is score for Searching for Bobby Fischer, and many of his scores. You know, I think in this score in particular, there are even some hints of it, and every time I hear that, like, pieces of his history, you know, it moves me so much. Like, he had an extraordinary career. I actually have never met him, but I feel like I know him from his music. And it was an honor when I heard from Antoine that he was going to score this movie. And, you know, he did it for really no money, and he did it out of his love for Antoine and their relationship, and also for his belief in this movie. And I think you can feel that. And I just, whenever we lose anybody too early, I'm just heartbroken that we won't be able to hear more of all of his beautiful melodies, you know. But it's an honor that this was one of the last things that he worked on, and an honor that he's given us all that he gave us while he was here.
Absolutely.
I remember actually when I was about to do the Stub My Toe, I was listening to the Braveheart soundtrack all night. Yeah. Anyway.
We have a lot of great questions from you all that you wrote on these cards. So this is a question from Holly. Hi, Holly, wherever you are. Holly wants to know from you, Jake. Obviously, there were physical challenges in preparing for your role and performing it, but what were the mental challenges that you encountered?
Every day I encounter mental challenges. It's a constant. But I think, you know, I grew up very differently from this character. You know, sometimes when I see a character on the page and I'm entranced by him, maybe her at some point, but when I'm entranced by the character, I sometimes see it as how far distance it is away from me, and sometimes that's exciting, and most of the times that's scary, depending on how far and out of focus it may seem. I think that the challenges for this were developing, you know, learning about his backstory. You know, it's sort of flippant in how he's like an orphan, but for me, that's not flippant. For me, the history of what that means and how that would affect him, and how that would, you know, generate his feelings in every single situation was something that I'm very far from. I have two parents that I know and grew up with, so that was for me. That was challenging for me, and also really fulfilling. And I think once Rachel and I started to figure out the relationship between these two people, ultimately just made that relationship so strong. Like she said, almost codependent, but I think so strong. So those challenges, and that was the biggest one, was just a backstory that I had to search for.
Here's a question for you, Rachel, from Maggie Clark. Where are you, Maggie? Raise your hand. Hi, right there. Maggie wants to know from you, Rachel, what advice do you have for a young woman in Hollywood struggling to get noticed and stand out in this industry? But she says, P.S., thank you for inspiring me with your work. Your talent is incredible.
Wow. Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you. I don't know what to say about that.
Short skirt. Wear a short skirt.
You heard it here.
Obviously, you have a long skirt on.
Longish. I don't know. It's really hard. I mean, it sounds so cheesy, but I just think you got to do it your own way, and you're going to be told not to, probably. You know best. You really do. I know that's probably not that helpful, but
Did you ever have moments of despair or almost wanting to give up early on?
Or like a short skirt moment where you just felt like you should just wear the short skirt to get the shit to go to where you wanted to go without talking about it.
yeah, there's a lot of short skirt.
He's still
anxiety.
transitioning from hip hop. It's like a thing. give him a little bit of time. Sorry.
Moments of despair. Early on, I certainly I was very lucky. I was very lucky to begin with. I think it's been kind of later on that I've had to kind of really stop and ask myself, you know, what kind of actor I wanted to be, and rather than just kind of being sort of pushed along, you know, trying to sort of stop and reevaluate. And but you know, I have been very lucky to just be employed. You know, I really feel that way, and yeah. So it's a constant kind of up and down, and you know, I sort of enjoy the downs in a way. I really feel like they lead to stronger work sometimes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you, Curtis and Miguel. This is from Audrey. What drew you to your roles? What about this screenplay spoke to you and convinced you to say yes to the project?
I needed to do something. I needed something to do.
Well, for me,
This
it was Jake and it was Anton Fuqua and their dedication to sort of tell this story and the incredible father-daughter relationship. You know, I'm a father, I have a daughter, and I think this story and the message in this film was important to be out there, you know.
No, this was exciting for me, to be honest with you. It was the missing piece to the things that I've done prior to this. Like, I had a chance to work with Al Pacino and De Niro on Righteous Kill, and Jake is like the new version of them.
I like that.
I like to do that. I intentionally put pressure on him. You see, he looked like, why you had to do that, man?
Jake, would you say you're more De Niro or more Pacino?
I just try and wear short skirts. You know what I mean? That's like just it's like.
Okay,
that's it.
Jake, here's a question for you from Lisa Ross. Hi, Lisa. This was a good question. You change your physique often for your roles. How do you stay mentally prepared and stay disciplined to not cheat? Because I'm sure there's craft service that you could like easily. Oh, like that. Oh. No, I mean cheat on the food.
I mean, well, first of all, really honestly, I think the pace at which you work is really important. And I think that, you know, the energy that's happening in a scene or the energy that's happening in a movie, you know, there's a I like it when a budget in a movie is smaller, when people are pushed, because you have to run and gun, you have to move in a way. And it means you have to stay in your character, and it means you have to focus, and it means you have to be prepared, and it means you don't have time for anything else but what's at hand. And that thing at hand, you're just desperately trying to get. And so, you know, I think a slower pace is necessary in certain contexts, but I like to try and never stop in a way. If Antoine, the thing with Antoine was like when we worked, there were these moments where if we had a free moment, we were just trying to go get something else. You know, there was never any like we're just gonna sit here and stay. We were just always trying to grab something. So even he would roll takes for a long time, and even if, you know, we were setting something up, I would go do something else. I'd get in the ring, I'd shadow box if we were somewhere. We'd do a scene. 50 and I ran downstairs. I remember we shot the scene where Billy throws the table, and that had been a scene that was written that we were told that we weren't going to be able to shoot because we didn't have the money in the budget for that extra scene, the time. And Antoine and I were like, fuck it, let's just go shoot it. I'll shoot it at 50. Are you ready? And he was always ready. I mean, no, I'm serious. Like, I mean, he jokes and all that stuff. He is incredibly dedicated, and he's incredibly humble, and there's no reason for him to be, really. And he is, and so we ran down. We got that. You know, there wasn't time to eat. You know what I mean? There wasn't time to think about anything besides what will service the story. What do we need when he's in the editing room and he's going, shit, why don't we have that scene? And we shot that scene in 7 minutes. It was literally the day we were running out of time, and it was just like, we're done with this. Are we in with the day? Can I throw the table? Do you know? I was like, is it cool? And the prop department was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, you can throw the table, you know what I mean? And we threw crew members in the back. They were the pretend photographers. And, I mean, seriously, that was how we made this movie.
Scrappy.
So
Okay.
that's how I don't eat.
There you go. All right, couple last things before I send you off on your way. This is a question for you, Rachel, that actually was a very similar question from two different people, Natalie Stone and Caden Douglas. I'm going to read Natalie's version, which is, did you work with an acting coach to prepare for this role? What did they do? How did they prepare you for your role?
I did. I work with an acting coach named Nancy Banks, and I think she's here. Are you here, Nancy?
She's shy. What's her name?
Her name's Nancy Banks. Lovely Nancy Banks. Yeah, I've worked with Nancy for a long time. And in terms of preparation, I mean, we just talk a lot about everything. And we talk about, you know, it's just great to have a sounding board in terms of that. And sometimes someone who can just support your choices, you know, because sometimes you want to be bold and you think, is that okay? You know, and you just sort of need that boost. And then other times, I just love getting out of my own skin, you know, and getting another perspective. And so, you know, we sort of get to bounce things off each other. And yeah, we sort of just talk about it all. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to end with a question for Una. So Una, it's the summer. There's all these big movies coming out. They're all sequels. They're all comic books. They're all superheroes. Why do you think and why do you hope that people will go out and see Southpaw this summer?
I think they will go out and see it because it's a combination of, it's a story about boxing, but it's also a story about love and sacrifice, which is awesome. It has everything in it. And I think, no, and like seriously, I just think that it's like I think it's for everybody in a way. I mean, it might be really scary at times, but in the end, it's just about love, and I think that's great.
And I want to apologize to you, Una, on behalf of everyone on the stage, because you've heard more F-bombs tonight on this panel than you did in the whole movie, but thank you for dealing with all of us. I want to thank you all for being here, and thank you for this incredible film. Congratulations. Have a great night.